कहाँ का है तू?
पहले बोलूँ क्या जगह था?
कश्मीर का। कश्मीर का तू रे? ये क्या लगाया तूने मुंह को?
हुआ क्या है भाई? किया क्या हमने? किया क्या भाई?
इधर का को आया रे तू?
मैं पढ़ने के लिए।
नाम क्या है तेरा?
उमर नाम है।
उमर। तेरा नाम रे?
इकडे ये टॉस
वीडियो चालू है?
वीडियो चालू है।
वीडियो आप हमारी बनाओ, कोई टेंशन। एक मिनट भैया।
ओवैसी है क्या तू? ओवैसी है क्या तू?
एक मिनट भैया, एक मिनट। आप मारो, कोई टेंशन ही नहीं है।
बाप क्या करता तेरा?
वो डॉक्टर है।
डॉक्टर है उधर। और आतंकवादी कौन है तेरा उधर?
कोई
रिलेटिव?
मैं यहाँ से 1.5 साल से मैं यहाँ से घर नहीं गया। भैया जानते हैं मुझे सारे। यहाँ पे मैं खेलने आया हूँ, मैं खाली प्लेयर।
नहीं आने का इधर। उधर कश्मीर में जाके रहो, उधर हमारे जवानों को मारते तुम। हाँ,
एक मिनट भैया, बात
तेरे रिलेटिव के उधर हमारे जवानों को मारते। इधर काय को आया? इधर काय को आया? और ऐसे कितने जने हैं तुम्हें कश्मीर वाले?
चले गए घर।
कितने जने थे?
10-15-20 तक
10-15-20 जने। उनको भी बोल देना।
क्या भाई, ये कौन सी
समझा क्या? क्या कौन सा?
कहीं नहीं।
इधर आ तुम उधर हमारे जवानों को मार मदद येऊ नका दादा।
हाँ सचिन भाऊ 2 मिनट
भैया, बात तो सुनो मेरी यार, बात सुनो पहले। आप मारो, कोई टेंशन नहीं।
2 मिनट।
मैं यहाँ से 1.5 सालों से मैं यहाँ से घर नहीं गया।
क्या रे तुम्हारा जिहाद क्या है बे? क्या जिहाद है तुम्हारा? जन्नत मिलती तुम्हारे?
मैं कम से
मासूम लोगों को मार के जन्नत मिलती नहीं तुम्हारे?
बात होती है।
तेरे रिलेटिव उधर? तेरे रिलेटिव है ना?
कौन से
दूसरे है कोई?
कौन से?
अबे 90% पूरे कश्मीरी लोग तुम पाकिस्तान को सपोर्ट करते हैं।
मुझे कोई शौक नहीं है पथराव करने का।
बट
मैं अच्छी फैमिली से बिलोंग करता हूँ।
इधर आ रहे तू?
कौन सा शौक है ये झगड़े करने का?
मेरे को अच्छी फैमिली बता रहा है क्या?
वो बात नहीं होती है भैया, कसम से।
हिंदुस्तान जिंदाबाद बोल। 3 नारे लगा दोनों जल्दी।
हिंदुस्तान जिंदाबाद यहाँ से
जोर से, जोर से
यहाँ से निकलता है। अगर
तो
वंदे मातरम, वंदे मातरम।
वो बात नहीं होती है।
अबे वंदे मातरम बोल।
चल वंदे मातरम।
जोर से,
वंदे मातरम।
जोर से।
वंदे
मातरम। आवाज येता का रे व्हिडिओ मध्ये काही?
हो येत आहे।
जोर से बोल।
वंदे मातरम।
भारत माता की,
भारत माता की जय बोलो। बोलना
भैया।
कोई टेंशन नहीं।
It is with a heavy heart that we bring you the story that we have to bring you today. Reports of Kashmiri students being attacked from various parts of the country. The one that you just saw, which I apologize for because I know that it is worrying, comes from Maharashtra. Proudly uploaded on the Facebook page of the main assaulter, who is a member of the Yuva Shiv Sena. To think it is somehow their national right and proof of their patriotism to go around beating up other Indians. Yes, other Indians. Kashmiri students, stall owners, shawl sellers, workers, engineers are Indians. And nowhere in our constitution does it say you can take the law in your own hands and act out your patriotism upon other innocents. Bigger questions we must ask is the complete stone silence from our government. Not a single statement has been made, not one, telling people to stop, saying that the government will take strict action at this kind of hate crime. Kashmiri students from across the country have been made to flee from their colleges, their hostels, and their homes, as landlords have thrown them out of fear. They've had to return to the valley overnight. Somehow still, stony silence from our government. On the show with me right now, my colleague Farid, who joins me out of Srinagar. Farid, we understand that the Srinagar police, the Kashmir police, has now set up a helpline for young students from across the country who might need help. How many phone calls have they received on this helpline? And have they set it up because of the parents who are in Kashmir who are worried about their children? What's going on right now? We seem to have lost that connection with Farid, and we'll go straight back to him as soon as we get him. Joining me on the show right now, Shabnam Lone is a lawyer, Anila Singh for the BJP, Javed Ansari, very senior journalist, Arima Sundaram, senior advocate with the Supreme Court, Imran Dar, spokesperson of the National Conference, Nasir Khumani is the spokesperson of the Jammu and Kashmir Students Organization, and we'll also have some students join us out of parts of Maharashtra. I welcome all of you to this conversation and I thank you for your time. My first question is to Mr. Arima Sundaram. Mr. Sundaram, good evening and thank you for joining us on a matter that I believe is very, very serious. We've had reports from Dehradun, from Kolkata, from Maharashtra and other parts of the country where Kashmiri students are being targeted and they've actually had to flee in their own country in the last 24 hours. How worrying is it that no one from the government has made a single statement?
Faye, I think the entire scenario is very worrying. Not only is it worrying, it's very retrograde. And I'll tell you why. What is most unfortunate is that these people who believe they're being great patriots by doing this to these poor helpless students are really the worst separatists of the world. What are they doing really? If you want one union, one country, it's a fundamental right that you have free passage through the whole country. Now, what are these people who claim to be patriots and who claim to be looking after Bharat Mata's interests really doing? They're encouraging separatism. They're encouraging these people and saying, go back to Kashmir. Why? Because these people, whether in Maharashtra, whether in Bengal, whether in whichever state, are treating Kashmir as an individual separate place.
Yes.
And they're really playing like with so unintelligently into the hands of separatists. What is the first thing a separatist wants? He wants a separate place, a separate state, a separate country. To do that, he needs his own population, his people there. He doesn't want his state to mingle with the other states. He wants independence, he wants separatism there. He wants the people there not to go anywhere else, but to remain there. This is exactly what Prabhakaran did with the Tamils in Sri Lanka. Now, not only are the actual separatists and actual terrorists doing this and encouraging that people from Kashmir don't go out and you carve out Kashmir as a separate place, but all these people who claim to be great patriots, claim to be upholding Bharat Mata, are encouraging it and in fact are helping them. They're aiding them and they're aiding the separatists. Today the people will be happiest. The happiest of the lot are those very terrorists and those very separatists, that this is the reaction they have got. And all that strikes me is how unintelligent are these people, how naive, how simple, apart from being barbaric, unfortunately. And I think that's the most it's a terrible combination to be unintelligent and barbaric, and it's exceedingly worrying.
It is exceedingly worrying. We also have with us Shabnam Lone, who's joined us right now. Shabnam, my bigger problem here is the silence from the government. We haven't had a single statement from any of the cabinet ministers. There has been no caution. There's been no advice. Nothing from the union government. Should there have been a message up till now? In fact, the only thing we have from the union government so far is Mr. Prakash Javadekar, who denied any sort of attack at all. What is your reaction so far to the government's action or the lack of it?
Well, Faye, I read somewhere, silence is also a language and a condition of understanding. So if you have many people in the ruling party acting as Tathagati Roy, the Tripura governor's cheerleaders, and abiding by his preposterous, unconstitutional and illegal statement against the Kashmiris,
yes,
then I think there is really little that we can say about it. Let me say, put it on record, that I am deeply saddened as a citizen of this beautiful country. This is the land of the Mahatma. This is the land of the world's global cultural icon, the unmatchable Mahatma Gandhi. But today, when I saw heard these clippings, it is heartbreaking. Because now let me tell them, these people who are doing this, let me unequivocally state, You are Azhar Masood's best friends here. He couldn't find better cronies than you people. What you have done is you have put the Kashmir imbroglio, that cauldron. The Kashmiris are the victims of this burning conflict of 70 years, caught in this influx, caught between the confluence of this political conflict that refuses to go away. It has singed their lives. For a conflict they had no role to play in. So let me assume the governments had to take a stand. Is it a fundamental right of every citizen? It was liberty and life. You have Anila Singh on the show. Anila Singh, you're from the BJP. I respect you, ma'am. But I have a question for you. Faye, can I ask her this question?
Yes, please go ahead, Ms. Lone.
Faye, do I have your permission to ask Anila Singh this question? Anila Singh, please answer it in yes or no. Do you agree to condemn Mr. Tathagati Roy, who holds a constitutional position and who has made gravely unconstitutional points about the Kashmiris? It is illegal for a governor to be divisive and to say, take the law and order in your own hands. Do you condemn him unequivocally, ma'am, as a spokesperson of the BJP? Please tell me and say that what Tathagati Roy has said is gravely unconstitutional and condemnable. Ma'am, I'm waiting to hear your response.
Anila Singh, please respond.
Ms. Lone, as a BJP spokesperson, official spokesperson, I cannot comment on that. But as a citizen of this country, if you ask me, I can only say that any person living in our country should avoid giving statements which encourages or enhances the divisive attitude of the people living in the society. So this is the answer of
Ms.
mine
Singh,
to your question.
you said as a BJP spokesperson you cannot comment on the issue. I dare say you have been invited to this conversation by merit of being a BJP spokesperson. If we wanted your personal opinion, I would have got it over a friendly chat over the telephone.
But Faye, I have been invited in this. No, Faye, I have been invited. I have been invited to discuss about the Kashmiri students, not on the on what the governor said.
So let me extend the question.
So I am
we do believe that it is divisive statements like this one.
But if you are going to discuss about the governor, I'm sorry, I cannot.
Ms. Anila Singh, there is reason to believe it is divisive statements like the one made by Tathagati Roy that has led to the attacks on the Kashmiri people. He is a leader occupying a constitutional position who has made a statement, and no one in the BJP or the government has stepped up to say they disagree or condemn that statement. No one in the BJP or the government has stepped up to say they condemn the attacks against the Kashmiri students. No one in the BJP or the government of the day have stepped up to say stop attacking Kashmiri students. Now please tell me, has the cat got the tongue of the national government? Why hasn't anybody said anything? Are you complicit in your silence today?
No, let me respond. Let me respond, Faye. No, we are not complicit in our silence, but at the same time, I just want to say here, unfortunately, in today's date, many of the political parties, and that too national political parties, the way they are doing the divisive politics, what is the end result of that? Sentiments of the youth or the people are getting flared up. Isn't it the time that we all should be together on one platform and we should criticize what happened in Pulwama? But we are not doing that.
No, Anila Singh, let me ask the question again. Let me ask the question again. Anila Singh, I'm going to make one more attempt to ask the question again. And I will point out to you that we are asking the question of the government of the day. Kashmiri students, people selling shawls, people in shops, are being attacked and chased out of their homes and their hostels across the country. Police have put up an SOS helpline for these people. Police is actually now attempting to protect these people, but not one word from the central government. Why?
No, Mr. Javadkar has given his reaction, and
Can I tell you what his reaction is?
The ruling party and as a
Okay.
political party as well.
All right, let me read out Mr.
I
Javadkar's
have
reaction,
heard. You do
please.
not
Can we
have
put
to
it up
tell
on
me.
the
I know
screen?
it very well.
This is what he
So-
says. There is a strong reaction in the country due to the Pulwama attack. There was anger due to the terrorist attack, but it is being pointed out that the attacks have been on students. This is not the case. We are in touch with universities and no such incident has occurred. So the government's only statement is to deny the attacks completely. Does the government still stand by the statement that none of this is really happening? In spite of the police FIRs, and I'm holding an FIR in my hand right now, in spite of the FIRs, the central government's stand is to deny that any of this is really happening. Anila Singh.
Faye, perhaps what you are showing on your channel right now, perhaps that incident would have not come in his knowledge. That is why he
Oh, dear.
made such statement.
Would you like
And when
for
are
us to
showing it on your
inform
channel,
him?
doesn't, yes, I can say that only. And no, Faye, see, I am not
so
advocating
who's in
anything.
charge of
I
law
totally
and order?
condemn such
Anila
behavior
Singh?
from any person, because these are the students. Faye, please give me 10. Can you please give me 10, 20 seconds to respond? I'm telling you that we totally condemn such behavior. I mean, students from Kashmir, they come to other parts of our country to study. And
Parts of
many
our
a
country.
times, few of the students, they behave badly, they give wrong slogans, but it doesn't mean that all Kashmiri students are like that. So, I can very well say that political statements from other political parties against the ruling government or the terrorists shouldn't be made and get the feelings flared up, and so that the youth and all, I mean, at times they get loose and they attack.
Oh,
they
come
will
on.
not do so if their emotions
I'm
are
sorry,
not
I'm
flared
sorry.
up. But I'm saying
Unfortunately,
that,
Anila Singh, we are on
I
a
mean, for
panel
you it
where
may be
everybody else
come
is
on.
listening very
For you
patiently,
it may
but
be
I've
come
run out
on,
of
but
patience.
18, 19,
Anila
20
Singh,
years old youth, when he gets
please stop, please
influenced
stop.
by
You will not use
one of
my
the political
channel
party-
to make statements
one of
like
the
this.
political party
No, I
leader
won't allow
who
it.
says,
I
"No,
won't
I
allow it.
cannot.
I won't
I'm
allow it. I
condemning
won't allow it.
whatever has
I won't
happened,
allow it.
whatever-
I won't allow it.
whatever you are showing
Anila
on
Singh,
your
stop.
channel, I am totally
Stop.
You won't allow it, but this is
I
a
won't allow
fact.
it.
I
I'll
am
tell
saying
you why.
it is wrong way.
Okay.
I am not advocating it. I'm saying
You're
it is
doing
wrong.
exactly that. All right.
But at the
Do we
time
stop
you-
this? Okay, thank you.
Political parties as well.
I'll tell you why I won't allow it. Because in this country, we have something called the IPC and the Constitution. Nobody cares how angry you are. Nobody cares that you've got your emotions flared up because you haven't taken the actual trouble to do any reading or to do any research or to actually read your history. Nobody cares that you're so undereducated about the history of this country that you've decided to slap the first person you meet. When you slap someone, you break the law. When you break the law, you get arrested. That's what happens in this country because we're all equal citizens and the law applies to all of us, irrespective of how more patriotic than the rest of us you think you are. And when the government of the day starts using emotions as excuses for crime and for not doing its job, then we have a problem. Javed Ansari, here's the issue. The government of the day needs to be talking about law and order. The government of the day needs to be talking about policing and not making excuses saying that, oh, people are upset and their emotions have flared up. What they're doing effectively is giving them a free ticket.
Well, that's the unmistakable impression one gets watching and observing the reactions of the government. I had occasion personally to share this with a senior functionary in this government. I said, sir, the least you can do is at least, why don't you issue statements? Why don't you call upon people to refrain from beating up, harassing Kashmiri students, harassing people from a particular section of society? This is being counterproductive. This goes against everything that we've stood on. He just brushed it aside. He says, nahi, aisa kuch nahi ho raha hai. He says, aisa kuch nahi ho raha. I said, how can you say that? But anyway, that's besides the point. I agree entirely with what Aryan Sundaramji said. You have to be absolutely nuts to behave like this. Don't they realize that this is precisely what ISI, what Pakistan, what all those who want this country divided want? This is their dream come true. They will be telling every time we beat up a helpless Kashmiri, every time we target innocents, they will say, look, this is what we told you. They are not interested. in you, that they're not interested in you. For them, Kashmir is just a piece of real estate. They will tell minorities, they will say, look, I told you there is no place for you there. We are playing, right into their hands. This is not just madness. This is an anti-national act. This is against the interests of this country. And what to say of these misguided youth? What do you say about a constitutional functionary? The Tripura governor, he's a serial offender where this is concerned. Every time he opens his mouth, I cringe. As an Indian, I look for a hole to bury myself in. Every time he opens his mouth, he comes up with something divisive, something which which is meant to antagonize, which is meant to flare up passions. I mean, he's sworn by the Constitution. He's under oath to protect the Constitution, not to not to throw the rule book in its face every time he opens his mouth. What is happening is shameful. And I'm now beginning to suspect that there is a pattern to it. There is a design to it. In 100 days from now, short of 100 days from now, we'll be going to the polls. And you have to keep the pot boiling. So keep doing all this. For God's sake, we have a huge problem on our hands. We have to face what Pakistan is up to. We have to face situations that are developing. And India that is united, that is at peace with itself, it will be in a far better position to fight its enemies rather than India that is at war with itself, where a section of people feel scared, who feel insecure. I hope even at this late stage, some good sense will prevail.
Well, before I go to Imran Dhar, I just want to quickly ask Mr. Sundaram this question. Mr. Sundaram, I'm actually not sure if I preferred the silence to the answer that we did get from the BJP spokesperson. But the fact that the government or its spokespeople right now are not referring to law and order, but are referring to emotion instead, is that a dangerous path to set on?
In fact, Faye, if you ask me, an emotional crime is often far more dangerous than a calculated crime. The reason is an emotional crime, and that too with people of very low intellect and obviously very low thresholds of so-called emotional pain, feel they can take the law into their own hands and justify it with the statements of very patriotic statements like Vande Mataram, Hindustan Zindabad, all that's fine. The problem is really that why are these people believing? Why do these people believe that the way to show your patriotism to India is to take it out on these minorities? Where are they getting this message from? Why? They are youngsters. As youngsters, they're getting a message from somewhere that look here, that the only way you show your patriotism for India is take it out on a minority. The only way you show your patriotism for India is to beat up the Kashmiris. The only way you show your patriotism for India is to throw the Kashmiris out. Is it not, in a way, something for us to think about? From where are they getting this message? Is there a very subliminal message coming through that the way to show your patriotism for the country is that you should be anti-minority, and that helps you prove yourself to be patriotic? I only hope that now that the government will be well aware from what you have shown, and which is horrific. I can even recount what you have shown, and it's really horrific. And with all these things going on, that the government will now say, look here, enough is enough. We are the government of India.
Yes.
And the government of India does not want a truncated India. Let's make no bones about that. The government of India does not want a separate Kashmir state. On the contrary, the government of India is fighting for a united India. In which case, the government of India needs to do every single thing necessary to ensure that unity. And one of the things to ensure that unity is to ensure that people like that governor of, it no longer continues in office.
Yes.
I want to know whether the Yuv Sena, the person claiming to be a Yuv Sena activist, whether the party, the Shiv Sena party of which he claims to be a part, whether they have taken any action. And after all, don't forget the Shiv Sena is in alliance with the BJP. They're in alliance with with the ruling party.
Yes.
Now, surely, if an activist, so-called activist of that Shiv Sena party behaves like this, I'd like to know what the reaction the party is taking against him. What reaction the political party is taking against him. Because if they don't, by silence, it is a complicity.
Yes.
And it's a very dangerous complicity. And
Yes.
it is that complicity which really creates these kind of situations and passes this insidious message that, look, show your patriotism by hitting at minorities. And that is what is divisive. And that is so anti-Indian in many ways. And what is more important is, I think the greatest agent of the ISI today is that chap you have shown me on the screen, who is
Yes.
beating up this person and doing all that and saying, going back to Kashmir. He should be recruited by the ISI because he obviously seems to be
Working
furthering
for
their
them.
cause more than anything else.
Well, Mr. Sundaram, I want to point out a couple of things, that there were at least 6 or 7 different videos of instances that came in from across the country. We've chosen not to run any video that we could not
In
personally
which case
verify.
the ISI has a lot of people working for them.
Anything that we couldn't personally verify as a channel, speak to the police and get confirmation that it actually did happen, we have not run. So we've only actually run the one where the police have registered an FIR and we've personally confirmed that this has happened. Secondly, I want to point out that while you said that there is a lot of patriotism that believes it can prove itself by attacking minorities, I have personally been at the receiving end of a lot of trolling on Twitter. Incidentally, the trolling is about 2 things always: the fact that I'm a woman and the fact that I'm a religious minority. A lot of these people don't realize that neither of those things is an insult. But yes, you are right, a lot of the hate is based on these 2 things. But my colleague Fareed is standing by from Srinagar. Fareed has been speaking to the police in Srinagar that is currently working on a helpline to reach out to Kashmiri students across the country. Fareed, could you tell us how many phone calls have they received so far? Why is it a concern right now for the Kashmir police? Are the parents who are obviously in the valley right now, whose children are studying in Delhi, in Dehradun, in Mumbai, are those parents afraid?
Yes, Faye, obviously the parents are in panic, they are afraid, and in fact, even those areas where you didn't hear about an incident against a Kashmiri, the parents have been forced to ensure that they get back or bring back their children. There is obviously panic, and the psyche has been very badly dented. Now, obviously, when you see these videos, as you rightly said, so many such videos making rounds on the social media, we ensure that we just put out those which we got verified, but that doesn't mean the other videos are something that is a thing of the past. These have happened after the Pulwama attack, and unfortunately, it's the students, the business class, who have suffered the most. Now, this is fear factor that has worked on Kashmiris in other places as well. Once they saw those videos, obviously they got calls from home, and then most of them returned. Now, the police did set up a helpline. Police people tell us that they got so many, in fact, many distress calls, especially if you talk of Dehradun. The police was in close coordination, or should I say, contact with the Dehradun police, and hundreds of many students who had literally locked themselves up in their hostels and other places were brought out to safety with the help of Dehradun police, and then they were escorted out. You talk of Khalsa Aid, one such organization. I spoke to many Kashmiri students. They say that they are thankful to that organization because most of them were camped in Punjab. Then they were provided lodging, food.
Yes.
They were also given transportation so that they can come safely to Kashmir. But absolutely shocking stories that have been narrated. Now, it will take a lot of time
Fareed, do you know
for
how
that
many
sense of security to be instilled. Yeah.
How many students or people of the state have had to return to the state in the last 2 or 3 days?
Well, Faye, there are hundreds of students who have returned. Now, students who have been directly impacted by these hate crimes, by goons, rioters who were on the loose, and in fact, they got in direct confrontation. Maybe they were, in fact, most of these groups were outside their hostels, their colleges. They were literally, I mean, their psyche was dented. Then, obviously, is the other community who did not come in direct contact, but such was the fear factor that was generated that they had to really rush back home. Now, most of them have stories of horror to tell. Obviously, some of them say that they won't go back. This is a natural reaction. It will take a lot of time to instill that sense of security. Now, parents are also not in a mood to send back their wards. So this has had a long-term effect, and this will only really add to that element of feeling of alienation, which is really, really unfortunate, because they say, I mean, very common sense things these kids have to tell us, that what do they have to do with the Pulwama attack? They have absolutely nothing with that. They want to study, they want to make a career. So these are basics. I mean, you don't need rocket science to figure this out. This is something that one should understand. Now, no big things involved in this. They say that they're as much concerned about what had happened there as any other
to single out students would be wrong. And let me just point out to our audience, on the bottom of your screen, we're running the helpline distress numbers for the Jammu and Kashmir police. That's on your screen right now for anyone who does need it, who finds themselves in a difficult situation. The police in Kashmir is then getting in touch with the police in your city and making sure that you receive some sort of immediate help. Imran Dar, spokesperson of the National Conference, is with us as well. Mr. Dar, first of all, let me thank you for being very patient and listening to all of the points that were made by the rest of the panelists. It's the most important right now to restore peace and to make sure that every Indian citizen across the country is safe, especially the Kashmiri citizens. What is your appeal right now to the central government?
First of all, I think it is the clips that you showed at the start of the program. I don't consider them as a problem. I mean, I think it is time that we should call out the real brain behind such kind of physical attacks, because I'm not concerned about the physical attacks much as I am concerned about the context that actually results in such kind of attacks. The context, the political context that is being created all across the country, the fear-mongering, the us versus other tendencies that are being raked up every now and then. We all know who have been doing this for the last 4.5 years, almost 5 years now. BJP has been retching up. I mean, they have been talking about this paranoia of minority appeasement. I fail to understand why this intellectual, political intellectuals who in the country have not spoken on the issue. Why are they silent on the issue? And most importantly, I mean, this is a cause, but this is a symptom. But you have to understand what happened in Pulwama attack. We don't know. I mean, right now, as a citizen of this state, I don't know where what government is doing. I mean, there has been multiple failures at all levels. I mean, as far as the suicide bombing was concerned, we know now that there was an advisory that there would be an attack. What happened? Has anyone taken responsibility? There was initially, they said that the car was laden with around 300 kgs of RDX. I mean, what is happening? Why aren't we discussing those kind of things? Why isn't anybody taking responsibility under normal circumstances? The Home Minister, the IB chief, the CID, or these people who are responsible to maintain the security and the peace in areas, who are responsible for all these kind of, they are supposed to take responsibility for their failures. But we are not talking about them. Unfortunately, the discourse has been changed, and and this is my personal view. I think there is a pattern to it. I mean, why these sporadic attacks are happening? And let me tell you one thing: all these people who are attacking innocent Kashmiri students and traders, they are somehow aligned with right-wing parties, whether it was in UP, Bihar, whether it was in Bengal, whether it is in Maharashtra. All the people who are attacking Kashmiris are aligned with right-wing parties. So we have to understand that there is a particular agenda to all these things. There is some sort of a diversionary tactic that they are employing just because they want to hide their failures. The central government, the BJP government, is trying to hide its failures because they could not maintain. They could not, because they have failed in ensuring.
All right. While I understand
solidarity
understand
to
what you
ordinary
are
students
saying.
and
I
even
understand
to
what
the
you are
paramilitary
saying.
forces.
I want to be able to dedicate this hour to the students and the help that they need from us. So while I do understand that you have a larger political point to make, let's go back to the students right now. And I have with me Mukhtar Ahmed and Siraj Khan, who join us out of Maharashtra. They're both Kashmiri students. Mukhtar and Siraj, thank you for joining us and giving us your time. If you can tell us right now, and you have a group of students who've gotten together where you are. What are these students going through? Is it just the one case that we have seen come out of Yavatmal? Yes. Have there been worse cases? Are the students afraid right now? And are your other friends and other students, is the plan to go back to Kashmir? Can you tell us what you're going through, please?
First of all, thank you, ma'am. And since last 1 week, we have been listening as well as watching with rapt attention that so many students are harassed in all over the country, mostly in the North India. But I would like to mention here that I am thankful to Maharashtra and the people from Pune, those who are caring about us, those who are always with us, and they helped us a lot in terms of our failures. All the things, they are with us and we are very safe here. But when I saw the morning incident where a young Kashmiri has been beaten up by the some youths of the Maharashtra. So I would like to say that they mentioned some points there, that please say out Vande Mataram and say out Bharat Mata Ki Jai. First of all, we should understand that what is Vande Mataram. It was a song written by Bipin Chandra Chatterjee for the national awakening of the people during the national movement of our Indian country. This is a kind of glory which it has been describing in Vande Mataram. So why we are using it for the extreme nationalism that say Vande Mataram and Bharat Mata Ki Jai? Is it a need for this? I would like to mention mostly that we, the Kashmiri students, are the only source who have taken the dialogue of Kashmir with the rest of country. The politicians always mention that we have to take a dialogue, we have to talk about the Kashmir issue, but I have never seen any kind of dialogue except the students of J&K, those who are studying in all the universities of our country. So I would like to request to all the youths of my country that please don't do so, because this is the only kind of dialogue that we are keeping it, that we are showing it, that yes, we are Kashmiris, that we are with our country. Why we are not choosing the other states or out of the country like Pakistan or any other? Mostly 90% of the students have chosen Indian states, Indian metropolitan cities to study here. So it is the kind of glory, a kind of Kashmiriyat we have shown to our country. So I would like to again request all the youths all over the country that please don't do so. I'm open, instead of all the youths of Kashmir are open to say, to talk about the dialogue. Let me challenge openly to all the political parties, all the universities, that please let these students have a dialogue with the other students of whole nation. Please give them a chance to speak. Then we will speak about the Vande Mataram. Then we would like to speak about that what is Bharat Mata Ki Jai. Let's talk these things afterwards. Let us talk about the grievances of our Kashmiri students. Why we are coming to study here in other states of our country. What kind of problems we are facing in J&K that we are forced to leave that political chaos related environment and study in other universities of Kashmir. In our country, sorry.
Yes, I want to take this back to Shabnam Lone, and it's such a beautiful appeal being made there, Ms. Lone, but I also want to point out, according to various newspaper reports that my team has put together, we've had instances of attacks on Kashmiris and Kashmiri students in Uttarakhand, Bhopal, Ambala, Jaipur, Karnataka, West Bengal, Patna and Noida since Pulwama. We've also had issues that have now come in from Kolkata, where the police have registered a complaint. So even in a state where Mamata Banerjee has said that she condemns this sort of thing, she hasn't managed to prevent this sort of thing. What is your response right now after hearing Mukhtar Ahmed tell us that all Kashmiri students want to do is to be able to have a dialogue?
Well, I'm very proud of Mukhtar. Despite these dark moments hovering around all the students, he still had a very positive message. And I hope all those hooligans who are berating this beautiful country, I hope they listen to him. I have one very two important points, Faye. This country will run by the Constitution. This country will run by the writ of the law. This country, it runs by unity in diversity. That is the fulcrum of this country. And whosoever will break it, he breaks the soul of this country. So India, decide. Decide how this country will run. Will it run by the writ of the law or by the writ of these fundamentalists, these rabid fundamentalists who are misusing, who are doing every illegal act? Now, I would like to quote Allama Iqbal when he wrote, Sare jahan se acha Hindustan hamara. आबिरूए गंगा वो दिन है याद तुझको उतरा तेरे किनारे जब कारवां हमारा मजहब नहीं सिखाता आपस में बैर रखना हिंदी है हम वतन है हिंदुस्तान हमारा क्या बात है कि हस्ती मिटती नहीं हमारी सदियों रहा है दुश्मन दौरे जहां हमारा यूनान रोम व मिस्र सब मिट गए जहां से बाकी है अब तक नामो निशान हमारा. Now, what are they trying to do? They are trying to take away the very beauty, the very ethos of this land, which has withstood so many other political earthquakes, which has withstood so much. This path is a path of destruction. This path is a path of division. This path is a path of poison, and something which they also will not be able to handle later on. So I appeal Prime Minister Modi, I appeal the government, please see reason and please see sense that the writ of the law must prevail, the constitution must prevail. And I appeal to the government and I appeal to the Honorable Prime Minister Modi, please, this governor, he should be sacked. You know, Faye, I have a point. We are going against these boys who are beating up Kashmiris, who are vilifying them. I think even these boys are victims. You know why? If we are able to tolerate a person in a constitutional position who is making these slanderous comments, who is making these illegal comments, who is making these unconstitutional comments, then how can we blame these rioters? How can we blame these people who have taken the law in their own hands? So reason has to prevail, because reason is the sine qua non of law. If reason does not prevail, then what happens to this country? It gets divided. We are Muslims and we are haunted every single day. I have to explain to everyone, no, I am a nationalist, even if I have a different opinion. But still, I am told, no, you are not. Why do I need to explain to everyone? Why do we need to be apologetic because we are from a minority? Thus far and no more, let us build a raft of opinion to say that the will of the Constitution will prevail, that the will of the law will prevail. Enough of these rabid fundamentalists. They need to be weeded out because they are taking this country to uncharted waters of destruction.
Well, I have a question for Mr. Arima Sundaram and Mr. Sundaram. It's true that at the end of the day, it is about national integration and the silence that we've been talking about from the beginning. And you put the points, and now Shabnam Noor has sort of echoed the same point. The fact that Tathagat Rao should be removed from his position for the regular offense, but in this particular case for actually causing more pain in a country that was already in pain. The fact that Mr. Prakash Javadekar has denied any sort of attacks, and we have proof from police that attacks have taken place, and the government is still silent, especially on the Shiv Sena that conducted that attack right now in Maharashtra. Is it time for the Home Minister at this point to step in and make it clear which side the government is on?
Faye, I do believe that we can have no manner of doubt that the government itself is definitely on the side of an undivided India and wants a full union of the country. There is also no manner of doubt that we have a high constitutional authority who has made comments which, I mean, make one, it's not embarrassed, but almost infuriate one to hear these comments. It is also a fact that the government of the day, as we speak till now, has not really come out with any positive statement on this. And I hope and believe that the way things are turning out, they soon will, considering that they will believe in a unified India. The point I was trying to make was exactly that if the government does not really come out and make a very firm statement, if the government does not itself say this kind of behavior is condemnable, that is what I meant when I said, where do these people get it from that they should behave like this to prove their patriotism? Such silence and inaction of the government, I am afraid, will encourage these people to believe that, look, even the government feels that what I'm doing is correct, that it is patriotic. And don't forget that there's nothing more dangerous than a self-righteous belief in what you're doing. And when these people behave like this, unless the government of the day shows very, very clearly that this is intolerable, and as a government they do not subscribe to this, as a government they believe that it's a unified India, that Kashmir is a part of India, that every Kashmiri has a right to be in any part of India, that there is no such thing as a minority not having a right to do something, unless the government comes out with a statement like that, my whole worry is the message which will go down to people like the person who has behaved so badly today and many others like him is that they did nothing wrong. That after all, what's wrong? They showed their patriotism. And I don't think even now they would see what was wrong unless such a statement is made by the government condemning them and saying you have behaved in an anti-national way. And the government has to come out and say to these people, if you behave like this, you are being anti-national. And I do hope that the way things are turning out and escalating, that the government will soon do that. Maybe perhaps, I mean, I grant that maybe earlier when the minister was asked about it, these incidents had not been brought to his notice. But now that it's all there, I'm sure that, and I hope that, I pray that the government is going to come out with a very strong statement.
In fact,
and take very strong action, including asking its ally to take action against its activist.
Yes. We have Nasir who joins us. I'm sorry, Nasir, for coming to you so late. But Nasir, what is your appeal to the government of India right now? Nasir is with the Jammu and Kashmir Students Association or organization. What is your appeal for the government to the government of India right now, Nasir?
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. After the Untitled Chapter and some students, especially in Dehradun, wrote some anti-national comments by using unparliamentary language and by abusing and how right-wing activists replied to them by lynching them, by threatening them, by kicking them from the elections. So we strongly condemn that. और हम इसकी कड़ी से कड़ी निंदा ना करते किस तरह से राइट-विंग एक्टिविस्ट्स ने उनको घरों से बाहर निकाला, उनको लिंच करने की कोशिश की। हम इस वाक़े की सख्त से सख्त अल्फाज में मजम्मत करते हैं। जी हम चाहे कश्मीरी मरे या सीआरपीएफ जवान मरे, हमें दुख उतना ही होता है, सिविलियन सीआरपी जवान का दुख उतना ही होता है जितना हमें एक सिविलियन से होता है। जो ही पुलवामा अटैक के बाद देहरादून, खुसूसन देहरादून में जिस तरह से हालात बन गए और जिस तरह से कश्मीरी को मारा और पीटा, हमने रियासती सरकार से मदद मांगने की कोशिश की। I tried to contact Umrullah, I tried to contact Mahbooba Mufti, Shah Faisal, Sajadun, Engineer Shi, but they did not bother to issue a call. They have a time. They have time to TV.
Right. Unfortunately, that connection was not very clear and we weren't able to fully understand you. But we will have another conversation, and I do want to thank my entire panel for giving us time to have this very, very important conversation. I do hope the people who are watching have understood the message that we're putting out. In conclusion, I know Twitter, you're going to come after me and you're going to troll me for this. Bring it on. Because what's that on the screen is not my India. I didn't grow up in an India where we beat each other up because we got upset, where we targeted people from a certain community or a certain state because we got upset. I grew up in an India, I grew up humming the tune of Mile Sur Mera Tumhara. Grew up in India and I love in India. But Kashmir is part of India. Isn't that what you always say? The silence of the government at this point is complicit. The longer you sit quiet, the more you embolden these characters to go out and play out a script that's written on the wrong side of the border. Because Kashmir is part of India. Kashmiri students, Kashmiri stall owners, Kashmiri shop owners, Kashmiri engineers, Kashmiri laborers are Indian students, Indian shawl sellers, and Indian laborers, and Indian engineers, and Indian doctors. There is no difference. They have the same rights that we do. They're allowed to live and work wherever they want to. They shouldn't have to tell you that they're sad. They shouldn't have to tell you that they're Indian. They shouldn't have to prove their patriotism. And you shouldn't have to prove your patriotism either. None of us have to prove that we love our country, because we all love our country, because every day we choose to wake up and be part of this country and work for this country. We don't have to provide evidence of patriotism to anybody. Not the ones who are beating people up and not the ones who are getting beaten up. The government of India needs to run its business on one and one thing only, and that is the Constitution. The law is devoid of emotion. When you make excuses for crime that takes place on emotion, you are making excuses for hate crime, the worst kind of thing there is. And hate crime has always been fueled by politics. We will not allow it. Our country has come too far, too long, and we've achieved too much to allow for this to happen now. We stand with the students. We stand with the doctors, with the engineers, with the laborers, with the stall owners, with the shop owners, with the shawl sellers who have come to make their living and build their future as fellow Indians. And we really, really hope that you stand with them too. Because there is no clearer message that we should send out right now to every single Indian and everyone across the border, is that you will only make us tighter and stronger and more together every time you attack us. We will not let anyone drive a wedge between this country. Where the mind is without fear and the head is held high, into that heaven of freedom, my Father, let my country awake. Thanks for watching.